After studying this module, you shall be able to know the concept of rural marketing, understand the nature of rural markets, identify the opportunities and challenges involved in rural marketing, analyze the components of rural marketing mix. Now I will give a brief introduction of rural marketing. Rural marketing denotes marketing at two levels. First, selling of products in rural markets for immediate or final use, and second, selling of products of rural areas in urban markets. The inflow of goods from urban to rural include agricultural inputs, consumer durables and fast moving consumer goods, and outflow of products from rural to urban comprises of agricultural produce. Rural marketing has a great scope in a country like India. Enormous opportunities lie for marketers as a large proportion of people live in the rural areas. The potential of rural markets has not yet been fully explored. The size of rural market outgrows the size of the urban market. With the majority of population living in villages, rural markets can be harnessed advantageously by the marketers. Domestic as well as global companies are drawing out strategies to unleash the potential of the rural markets. Now we consider the scope, challenges and opportunities concerning rural markets. First, we will begin by discussing scope of rural markets. Rural markets are emerging at a rapid pace in the economy. With the economic growth and development and several government initiatives, rural areas are progressing. However, rural markets in India differ from their counterparts significantly. The way marketers design and execute marketing plans and policies in the urban markets cannot be replicated in rural markets. Separate marketing strategies have to be framed for the rural markets, keeping in view the peculiar characteristics of rural areas and rural consumer. The buying behavior of rural consumers has to be effectively analyzed in terms of marketing efforts to be made. The dynamics of rural markets must be carefully taken into account to embark upon the accurate marketing decisions. Associations of rural consumers, both at the cognitive and emotional level, must be utilized to develop the brands for rural markets or to adapt the urban brands to rural markets. Rural culture should be decoded to extract the aspects that affect the rural consumption. Aspects such as food habits, language, festivals, rituals, or other components of socio-cultural relevance should be interwoven in the marketing plan and strategies for rural markets. Now we will analyze rural marketing, the opportunities and challenges. Rural markets have not been explored by the marketers to their fullest potential. This has implications for the marketer in terms of both opportunities offered as well as challenges posed. Rural marketing opportunities. Main reasons which are considered for the growth of rural markets are wide population base, increased purchasing power, expanded rural markets, rising employment, increasing literacy level, improvement in infrastructure facilities, increasing media approach, lifestyle changes, government initiative, research and development, and marketing. First reason for the growth of rural market is the wide population base. Population increase in rural areas is higher than the population increase in urban areas. More than 70% of the population in India resides in the rural areas. The 800 million people living in the rural areas make a promising source of revenue for the marketers. The second reason is increased purchasing power. With the growth of the economy, the purchasing power of people in rural areas has gone up. While the competition in urban markets is getting intense, marketers are shifting towards the significant rural stream for realizing marketing objectives. Third reason is expanded rural markets. The demand for products, that is, fast moving consumer goods, consumer durables, and agricultural inputs, has increased to a great extent in rural areas. Rural market is expanding at an increasing rate. Fourth reason is rising employment. With tax concessions and subsidies, many industries have been set up in rural and backward areas. This has led to the increase in employment opportunities in the rural areas, thereby increasing the scope of the marketers. A number of government socio-economic policies such as IRDP program have contributed to development of rural areas and have successfully created employment opportunities for rural consumers. Fifth reason is increasing literacy levels. Various programs have been initiated by the government to increase the level of literacy in rural areas. Increased literacy helps marketers in getting its message regarding goods and services across to the rural consumers. Sixth reason is improvement in infrastructural facilities. Infrastructure in rural markets has developed over the years. There has been improvement in the condition of roads, availability of transportation facilities, establishment of communication network, and setting up of public services. These improvements make the rural market attractive for the marketers to strive for. Seventh reason is increasing media approach. The penetration of mass media has increased in rural areas. This has led to increased level of awareness among the rural consumers. Commonly, the promotional message is communicated to the rural consumers through TV, radio, hoardings, local newspapers, etc. Eighth reason is lifestyle changes. With the increasing awareness and knowledge among the rural consumers, the way rural consumers live their life is undergoing a change. Rural consumers are adopting the brands that help them to do their work conveniently and also provide avenues for entertainment. Ninth reason is government initiatives. A number of initiatives have been undertaken by the Government of India for the growth and development of rural areas, such as Operation Flood, White Revolution, Blue Revolution, IRDP, that is Integrated Rural Development Program, Training Rural Youth for Self-Employment, that is TRISEM, Rural Electrification Program, that is REP, PSU and cooperative banks like Kisan Credit Card by Canara Bank and Andhra Bank, contract farming, that is high yielding variety seeds that are provided by companies to farmers to cultivate crops and the farmers provide the produce to the same companies. Various other programs such as PURA, which is Provision of Urban Amenities in Rural Areas, National Highways Development Program, that is NHDP, Pradhan Mantri Bharat Jodo Prayojana, that is PMBJP, and the Pradhan Mantri Gram Sadak Yojana, which is PMGSY, have been launched by the Government of India to improve the infrastructure in rural areas and thereby promote the rural markets. Presently, the government in force is working on rural rejuvenation an integrated program aimed at achieving holistic development of rural areas. 10th reason is research and development. The scope of rural marketing has been expanded due to agricultural research. Indian Council of Agricultural Research and other institutions conduct research in the field of agriculture. Research had opened new avenues for increasing agricultural output by adopting scientific methods. This revolution in the field of agriculture has impacted the purchasing power of rural consumers positively. 11th reason is marketing. Implementation of marketing tools and techniques in the rural markets has become a regular feature now. With the saturation in urban markets, several multinational corporations such as Hindustan Unilever Limited, LG Electronics, Godrej, Philips, etc. have forayed into the rural markets with emphasis on making the products affordable, available, acceptable, and increasing the awareness of the rural consumers. Such marketing efforts are changing the landscape of rural markets. One of such efforts, named Project Shakti, was initiated by Hindustan Unilever Limited in the year 2001. The project aimed at reaching out to rural markets and helping rural women earn income. Under the project, the company executives, in consultation with the village panchayats and village head, recruited potential women as Shakti entrepreneur, that is, Shakti Amma, in the untapped villages. Such women from different villages were trained in distribution. Shakti Ammas have invested an initial amount of rupees 20,000 from which they bought products and then sold these products door to door and at petty shops in the village. This helped the women to earn 10% margin on the products sold. The project enabled the company to reach out to the remotest villages and thereby expand its distribution widely across the country. Now we will look at the challenges faced in rural marketing, which are infrastructure, diversity, distribution, channel management, rural consumer, and promotional behavior. First challenge faced by rural marketing is infrastructure. Although development is taking place in rural areas, but rural markets are still underdeveloped as compared to the urban counterparts. Infrastructure is not sufficient in comparison to what is required, and a number of people are still below the poverty line. Second challenge faced by rural marketing is diversity. India is a country with multiple religions, languages, traditions, and preferences. The diverse culture of India truly gets reflected in the rural areas where the majority of Indian population resides. With such differences, marketers have to devise specific strategies suited to the specific cultures. Third challenge faced by rural marketing is distribution. Lack of communication and transportation facilities obstruct the marketer in reaching to the rural markets, distribution to the remotest area, and spreading the message across. Fourth challenge faced by rural marketing is channel management. Rural population is dispersed across the length and breadth of the country. Ensuring the availability of products is difficult for the marketers. Villagers organize fairs where they get fun and entertainment. Such fairs are targeted by the marketers to promote and sell their products. However, such fairs are occasional and marketers find it tough to supply the product at all times and at all occasions. Fifth challenge faced by rural marketing is rural consumer. Rural people earn their living through agricultural produce. They do not earn income throughout the year and therefore the demand pattern in rural markets is irregular. This creates difficulty for the marketers in maintaining the stock with optimum costs in the stores. Sixth challenge faced by rural marketing is promotional barrier. People living in rural areas are traditional in their approach. They are quite rigid, and this makes it challenging for the marketers to influence their thinking and attitudes. The consumption in rural areas is governed by old customs and traditions. A change in consumers' attitude requires the marketer to connect with the rural consumer and thereby build acceptance and behavior modification. An understanding of opportunities offered and challenges posed by rural markets show that these are important source of revenue for the marketers. The rural markets are underexplored and have a lot of scope to be utilized by marketers intelligently and efficiently. It requires comprehension of rural needs and wants and translating them into goods and services that live up to the expectations of rural consumers. Till now, we have considered the challenges and opportunities faced by rural marketing, but now we will analyze the rural marketing mix. Rural marketing mix consists of 4 P's and 4 A's. C.K. Prahlad in 2006 highlighted the potential that lies at the bottom of the pyramid. Bottom of the pyramid refers to large consumer group earning low income. Huge opportunities await the corporations to be harnessed by fulfilling the needs and wants of the low income consumers belonging to the uncovered and remote areas. Apart from realizing the business objectives of earning profits, large corporations can contribute to the social welfare by serving the bottom of the pyramid. However, the unexplored rural markets can be served by multinational corporations efficiently by devising a marketing mix suited to the socio-cultural demographics of the low-income group. Marketing mix is the combination of various marketing elements that the marketer utilizes in the satisfaction of consumer needs and wants. The generally accepted marketing mix consists of 4 P's, which are product, price, place, and promotion. However, rural marketers differ in terms of their characteristics from urban markets, where usually the concept of marketing has been applied. Therefore, the traditional marketing mix has to be redefined for the rural markets. The rural marketing mix consists of 4 P's and 4 A's, which are availability, affordability, acceptability, and awareness. First component of rural marketing mix is product. It refers to goods and services that satisfy the needs and wants of rural consumers. Products are of three types. Products of immediate consumption such as utensils, radios, bulbs, etc. Products that entertain the rural people or provide them with convenience such as sewing machines, geysers, stereos, etc. And products which assist rural people in making their living such as mopeds, refrigerators, mixers, etc. Marketers have to design the product in accordance with the rural consumer profile. Product for rural markets has to be reasonable, easy to use, and functionally beneficial. The packaging must be simple, cost effective, and informative. Second component of rural marketing mix is price. Rural consumer purchasing is driven by value for money. As rural consumers on an average earn less, so they are greatly affected by price changes. Products of lower price value are preferred by rural consumers.
Marketers, while deciding the price of products to be sold in rural markets, must make efforts to make it affordable by reducing the packaging and promotion costs. The concept of sachets was introduced for the rural consumers who earn on daily basis and could not afford to buy larger packets of foods. Third component of rural marketing mix is place. The distribution is hard task in rural marketing as rural consumers are widely dispersed. Warehousing corresponds to three levels. First, central or state warehousing. Second, cooperatives and rural godowns. There is a lack of transportation facilities and communication network is not fully developed. Thus, the flow of products from manufacturers to wholesalers to retailers does not operate efficiently. The large number of intermediaries increase the cost of distribution. The fourth component of rural marketing mix is promotion. Both conventional and unconventional media are used to influence the rural customers. Communication to rural customers is not easy as the literacy rates are very low and there is diversity in rural culture in terms of languages spoken, traditions practiced, and the way people think and behave. The complex rural composition creates the problems in designing promotion strategies. Marketers have to devise the appropriate mix of media and communication messages to persuade the rural consumers in an effective manner. Fifth component of rural marketing mix is availability. One of the challenging tasks for the marketer is to make the products available in rural markets at the right time and the right place. Rural consumers are widely scattered over large area and the infrastructure is not adequate to ensure effective distribution.
Sixth component of rural marketing mix is affordability. The products to be sold in rural markets must be easy on the pockets of the rural consumers. Rural consumers do not have a stable or regular income. If in a year the agricultural produce is spoilt due to natural circumstances, the poor villagers starve for basic necessities. Most of the village labourers are daily wage earners and have meagre income to support their livelihood. In such a scenario, expensive products will not sustain rural markets. Therefore, the marketers should set the price according to the capacity of the rural people to pay. Seventh component of rural marketing mix is acceptability. The products must suit the needs and requirements of rural consumers to gain acceptance in rural markets. The products sold in urban markets may not be suited to rural consumers and thus the marketers need to customize the products for rural consumers. For example, LG Electronics created a TV for rural consumers called Sampoorn. The TV became very popular in the first year of its launch. As electricity supply is not adequate in the rural areas, Coca-Cola created cost-effective ice boxes, tin boxes and even thermocol boxes for the rural areas. And the eighth component of rural marketing mix is awareness. The reach of conventional advertising media is not much in rural areas. As compared to urban markets, the media penetration is low in the rural areas. Local fairs, festivals, hats, mandis and melas are the places where marketers advertise their products and spread awareness among the rural consumers. However, with the development initiatives and growth of the rural areas, the media is spreading even in the rural areas. Let's summarize the discussion we have had so far. First, Rural marketing is the marketing of products in rural areas. It involves the sale of consumer goods and services in the rural markets and the sale of rural products such as agricultural produce to the urban markets. Rural markets are expanding in scope on account of several reasons for growth. However, the marketer has to face a lot of challenges in the rural markets. The goods and services designed for urban markets cannot be replicated and sold in rural markets. The marketing plans and strategies have to be specifically designed for the rural markets, keeping in view the peculiarities of rural markets. Last, rural marketing mix comprises of 4 P's, which are product, price, place, promotion, and 4 A's, which are availability, affordability, acceptability and awareness.